Ajay, the US presidential election is just round the corner, just 9 days left. Georgia is a very, very important state from the point of view of the overall outcome of the election results because it's a swing state. Indian community is a very, very significant community in this state. How the Indians are voting in this election and what are the key issues that you think are going to impact the people's voting pattern?
Yeah, I think the issues, as far as the issues are concerned, the main thing is about the economy, inflation, the healthcare, and the immigration. Obviously, those are some of the top issues for like any other community. But also for us as an Indians, U.S.-India relationship is extremely important because U.S. is the largest economy. The India is the soon-to-be number 3 economy. Oldest demography, so oldest democratic country and the largest democratic country. I think the strong US-India relationship is going to be extremely important, and that's one of the things that we as an Indians will pay attention to see which side will give more support to that.
So what is the ground reality actually? Indians are supporting Mr. Trump or Indians are more inclined towards Kamala Harris?
In my personal opinion, I've been here in Georgia for the last 25 years. And obviously, the Indian community has been more and more actively engaged, but still not to the extent that we would like to see. But the people who have been actually involved in the election process and all, so they actually look at the policies. They look at as to which of the two candidates or which of the two parties would be more good for the safety, security, India-US relationship, and the economy. I think those are the main things they look at it, and less of the candidate's background. Yes, having said that, I think it does play a role having the female candidate versus male candidate, but beyond that, I think that would have the less impact on the way that people would think about voting.
So how do you see the overall India-US relationship in the context of the presidential election? In fact, is it going to impact our ties based on the candidate who will be winning, or the general perception is that there is bipartisan support for India-US relations. So how do you see the elections in the context of India-US ties?
I think irrespective as to who comes into the power, into the White House here, they cannot afford to ignore the India because certainly this is a growing economy, and it's not just about the economy, but also the power, the purchasing power. It's growing up pretty significantly. And the other thing that what we are able to do back in India, so they can contribute back to the economy here in the United States. So irrespective of who comes into the power, I truly believe that either party or neither party can ignore the US-India relationship.
So as a keen observer of India-US relations over the last few years, what are the areas that you think both countries can expand cooperation further?
I think one of the things that I would say as the strategic relationship is about the defense. So certainly, in the Asia-Pacific region, there are some concerns and there are some issues that are going on, which obviously everybody, the viewers are aware of it. But I think, if India and US can come a bit more closer to have stronger ties and improve the safety and the security in that region would be much more impactful.
You have been in the technology sector for a long time, especially in the healthcare sector. So do you see any further opportunity for the two sides to boost relationship and cooperation?
Certainly, if you look at the top 5 issues, the healthcare is in one of the top 5 for the people in general in the United States, the healthcare. And obviously, that is something that I believe that, India and US can do more. Obviously, more and more innovation can happen. Now with the world is so flat, there could be a lot of innovation that can happen back in India, something that can be brought here, or some of the innovation that have happened in the United States in the healthcare can be taken back to India to help the community on both sides.
There has been a controversy over Mr. Trump's announcement that he will just come down very hard on people staying in United States without documentation, or even he has threatened to cancel citizenship of children, in fact, who are born to people not having proper documentation. Overall, in fact, there has been a debate about the immigration issue. It's a very, very contentious issue. So how do you see it, and from an Indian's perspective, how do you see it?
Look, United States is the country of immigrants. And certainly, there is a controversial discussion that is going on, but we cannot ignore the fact that immigrants do bring some value to the U.S. economy. When it comes to the Indians, typically, the Indian immigrants specifically, either they're coming in here for the education or they come here with education. So they are the legal people. But, either coming on the H1, and unfortunately, they have to pay also, they're also paying the price because of this contentious discussion that's happening. And unfortunately, some of the people who are on the H1, they're staying on H1, or sometimes they have to unfortunately go back because of the visa limitations or number of visa limitations.
So do you think, in fact, the US should, considering the kind of talent that, in fact, that are coming from India, the inflow of talents from India, actually, there is a strong case for US to increase the H-1B visa cap?
I absolutely agree with you because, certainly, as I said, people from India or Indian origin, they are coming either with the higher education or they're coming for the higher education. And as the United States continue to increase or improve their economy, this highly educated people, they can contribute to the improvement in the economy, and they bring a lot of values. I truly believe that increasing the cap on the H-1B or making it even easier for the people who have been on the H-1 to get them green card will also be extremely useful for the US-India relationship and, more importantly, for the US economy.
So do you think it's an issue for Indians actually who will be voting in the presidential election?
Certainly that's one of the things that will be lingering in people's mind, and particularly that I would say that, those who have gone through that painful process have gotten the green card, or there are a lot of Indian entrepreneurs like myself, who would want to get the people with the higher education, and if they are not able to get the right people because of the visa issues or because of the delay in getting the green card process, that will have an impact, and we would be taking that into consideration when we think about voting.
One of the shining example of India-US relations has been the initiative under ISET. In fact, we have been cooperating on critical technology areas, including semiconductor. So how do you see the overall cooperation between India and US on ISET framework?
I know there is already a bill in the resolution that has been put into the US Congress, and as a part of one of the organizations, we have tried to educate many elected members. In fact, we have reached out to about 83 elected members in the US Congress, tried to inform them, educate them on the ISET and the importance of the ISET, and hopefully they will pay more attention. And I think, if that were to come and become the bill, that would really help the semiconductor industry and the whole US-India relationship and the economy both in India as well as the United States.
So there have been some concerns about the possibility of Trump winning and then imposing high tariffs on Indian goods coming to US. So how do you see it, in fact? What are the views of Indian entrepreneurs and businessmen about it?
I don't know about the historical data, but I think it'll be very tough to have the higher tariff and make it affordable here in the United States, because US does depend on getting the goods and the products from outside of the United States. And if there's a higher tariff, it means that it's going to only impact the inflation. So I think it's going to have not only the impact to the the people, but also Indian diaspora, but also even for the United States people. But I think it's going to be very hard for people to accept that higher tariff on any product coming from, whether it's from India or some other countries.
So you have been also closely following India-US defense cooperation. Recently, India and US sealed a very, very important deal, around $4 billion worth of military hardware. Actually, the Predator drones that we are procuring from General Atomics, India is procuring 31 Predator drones from General Atomics. So this is a shining example of India-US defense cooperation going forward. How do you see the overall relations in the domain of defense and security?
Over the last couple of decades, I think, certainly the US-India relationship in the defense has certainly improved, but there's still a lot more room. And as India's economy continue to drive or grow and become number 3, India has to take care of their own people in that region, because there are unexpected things that are happening, and they will continue to spend more and more money into the defense. And for that reason, I think, certainly having that strong relationship with the US, and US certainly has some of the technology that can be useful for the India and the Indian defense. I think even stronger relationship between the India and the US in the defense will certainly help not only the India but also the United States economy.
There's been a debate over US not increasing the cap on H-1B visas, and that's a lot of people say is impacting. To some extent, India-US ties in various critical areas. How do you see it? In fact, what are the main demands of the Indian community here? How increasing the cap will increase India-US people-people relations as well as relations in various domains, including critical technologies, etc.
Look, the people of Indian origin who are coming in here, and they are highly qualified, either engineer or the scientists, and some of them are healthcare background, right? So when they come in here, obviously they are needed for the companies here, like myself here, or some of them, many other companies. So they come in here on H1, and they come into the IT, they come into the fintech, they come into healthcare, they come into the construction, and they are certainly very useful for providing the services, their talent, and the innovation part of it to the US economy. And I think it's in the best interest of the United States to keep them here, because if they are not able to make the H1 quota either go up or make that H1 people to get the green cards easier, eventually US will be the loser, to my personal belief, because then they will be forced to go back, because there's a cap, or it's becoming difficult for them to get a green card, and at the end of the day it's going to have an impact on the US economy. And certainly as people coming from India also, they would be more concerned, or there'll be more longer thinking about whether to come to the United States or go to some other place, because at the end of the day, their goal is to provide their talent and the services to wherever it makes easy for them to do, and make better living and contribute to the economy, and take that knowledge back to themselves, to the company that they're working for.
A number of Indians are helming some of the top companies in US, including Google, Microsoft, etc. So how Indians are being seen in US? Their contribution, overall contribution to the economy, to growth of technology, research, R&D. So what's your take?
Look, although the US, Indian diaspora is only about 5.1 million, which is about 1.5% of the US population, but we are contributing through the taxes to about $300 billion. That's a pretty large amount of the money that is going into the tax. What that means is that we are highly educated, we earn a lot, but also we are very obedient in paying the taxes back. And certainly, I think, and certainly the people, as I said, they are with the higher education, and they do contribute to the innovation. And if you look at the US patents, number of patents that are issued, I think there is a number that shows that the people of the Indian origin probably have the highest number of the patents issued in the United States. So what does that mean is that they can contribute not only providing the services, but also to the innovation, to the technology, to the intellectual property. I think there is a lot more that Indian diaspora is offering, and they can continue to offer. I think it's a matter of time.
So final question, how you are looking at the India angle or India's relations with the US in the context of the election? This is a very closely fought election. A lot of people are saying that in fact it is going to be one of the closest and tightest presidential elections in last 1 century. So how do you see the elections in the context of India-US relations?
I think, irrespective, obviously, this is going to be the toughest election. I've been here for the last 33 years now, and I have seen many elections, but I think you're absolutely right. This is the closest, and coming to in the state of Georgia, my state, I can tell you that last election, I think it could have turned in the other way had it not been that the gap of only about 11,000 votes. I think this is the closest election, particularly in Georgia, and I think, irrespective of what the outcome is going to be, whoever is going to be in the White House, they cannot simply ignore the continued stronger relationship with India for all the reasons that I mentioned, because of growing economy there, large talent people there who can provide the services, and also the strategically India is very important for that, having the strong US-India relationship.
Tell us, in fact, what are the key issues that is being debated ahead of the elections. Definitely, abortion is one of the issues. So, could you explain, in fact, how it is significant and what is the reaction of the Indians, and on overall economy, what is your take?
Yeah, so when it comes to the abortion, obviously, there are two schools of thoughts. Obviously, either side or both sides, they have their own reasons to believe that one is right, one is another wrong. But when it comes to the Indian diaspora in general, my personal feeling is that the most of the or the majority of the Indians, they do believe that the one should have the right to have the abortion or the choice to have the abortion. Primary reason being that every person makes the choice for their own well-being. And if they have some health reason or other reasons that they think it's not the right choice for them to continue to have the child bared, so they should have the right to do the abortion. Yeah. So in terms of the economy, and obviously, you can see that, the inflation has gone up pretty significantly, although the U.S. economy continued to be the number one in the globally. But still, I think, if we look at global competition, right? So the U.S. economy need to continue to become more and more stronger. And obviously for that to happen, to have it for the people from the Indian diaspora, making it easy, increase the quota of the H-1B, making it do the business easier for between India and the U.S. And even for the small businesses and making it easy for them to build the business, grow the business, thrive the business would help the U.S. economy.